So the title, the trap in I have tried everything and nothing works. So as you can imagine, when you're a speaker, you hear this a lot. It's it's quite common that people come to me and they say they've tried everything and nothing works. What should they do? Or if I suggest anything or say anything, they say that nothing works and it's not for them. They've tried everything. And this is a mentality. It's not actual fact. It feels like it's fact to the person, but it's actually a mentality. So all there is presence, this alive presence that's experiencing itself. And this presence is mysterious, it's magical, it's free, it's home, it's love, and it's experiencing itself. And presence cannot be experienced, but yet it experiences. So you can't turn the mind round or turn the thoughts and look at presence, but yet everything that's appearing is being experienced by that presence. So who you truly are is the consciousness in which everything is appearing in, and that I am which everything's appearing in. But you can never see the consciousness in the I am. It's mysterious, but yet it's right here. It's the creator of all. So you are the creator, you as that conscious presence, not you as the personality structure. You as conscious presence creates through the personality structure. So this movement isn't Lisa's independent movement. It's a movement of that divine force which is moving everything. So you could say this is an act of love, because it's coming from presence, which is love. So the words that come out of my mouth, the hearing of them, all of that is being perceived by presence, not a character, not a personality structure. The human believes that they're experiencing, they as that personality structure. So they as that conscious presence, not they as the conscious presence, sorry, I got distracted by the audio there. They believe they're experiencing as the personality structure, as this person that pops up and says, I like this, I don't like this, what's she talking about, I love the music, what was the name of the people that were doing the music, what time's dinner, something that might pop up a lot, very important subject, what time is dinner? And it says, I feel good now, I feel bad now, I like this, I don't like this, I have blonde hair, I am tall, I am plumpy, I am thin, I have big feet. It says all these things, and the human, inside the human, there is this claiming energy which bundles that together with the conscious presence and makes it feel like that entity is conscious, that the person is conscious. So this person that you call you is conscious. And that's limiting, because who you are is mysterious and is infinite and unnameable and full of wonder. But as soon as you begin to feel like you are a name, you are a body, you are a situation, you're a feeling, you're a thought, you're an idea, there is this feeling of limitation, like you've lost something. And it's like you've lost who you truly are. And you have in a way, but you also haven't, because it's still there. It's just that there's this container appearing, feeling like it's not there. This container feels like you're limited. And that storyteller is always saying, I'm experiencing this. But actually, the storyteller, the person that's saying I'm experiencing this, is being experienced. Because you can see that thought. You can see that thought. I am experiencing this. That thought can be seen. So obviously the one that says I'm experiencing this and I like it or don't like it is not experiencing. It is an experience. Just like this room is an experience, just like Khaleesi is an experience, or the drink of my drink is an experience, or the computer is an experience. The same with your feelings. So a feeling appears, and that's an experience because it's being seen. As soon as you see something, it's an experience. So the feeling comes up and it's like, oh, this is very nice. What is this that we are drinking? Pleasure, pleasure, pleasure. There is something that knows that. There's something that's prior to that knowing it. The same as if somebody hits your arm. That hitting your arm is being experienced, that pain is being experienced, so that cannot be you. But this energy like sucks it in and makes it feel like that and the conscious presence is one thing, whereas actually the conscious presence comes prior to that person. Isn't that magical? It's so wondrous and mysterious. When there's identification with the person, there's always a feeling of lack and a feeling of fear. And that lack and that fear gets bigger and gets less. The lack is the sense that I've lost something, I've been cut off from something, I've lost love. There might not be a consciousness of that, but that's what it is. It's a feeling of losing your wholeness, of losing home. And then the fear is that you're suddenly a separate entity that was born and that's going to die, and you're in relationship with life. And that is scary. So at the base of the separation, there's always this taste of lack and this fear. And this fear and this lack create a seeking energy. So this person seeks in time to try to find the resolution to those two discomforts. And then everything begins to get confused, because then society gives you confusing ideas about what you lack and what you need to get. And then the focus goes on to resolving those two problems, even though there's not a consciousness of it. And there's a forgetting about the initial wants of that being and the initial flow of that being, the natural flow of that being. And it gets more and more focused on this seeking energy of trying to avoid fear and get love. And a lot of the actions of the person are about getting safety or love in time in the future, or getting away from things that took it away from you in the past. And this is uncomfortable, and it grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then by the time you're in your 40s, life isn't so good anymore. You feel uncomfortable a lot of the time. And I have some fantastic news. There is always the opportunity for that to stop. It's not exactly your doing as the person, because the person never did anything independently. It's what consciousness creates, but consciousness is who you are. So it's like this amazing contradiction. It's like not you, but it is you. Even listening to this talk is influencing that character, but this talk is a creation of who you are on the ultimate level. So this talk is taking you home. So you are taking yourself home, which is really beautiful. And that's your creation as that big consciousness, not as the limited person. But it feels like it's to do with the limited person. It feels like you're choosing to listen to this talk as that limited person. And that's exactly how the illusion is meant to play. But really, my voice is who you are, is the conscious presence. The room, the sounds of the birds, the sounds of the crickets, the sound of Khaleesi grunting. I think she's got a bee sting. I think her face looks a bit swollen. They do that, the dogs, so they repetitively eat bees. You know, that's what happens when you have a brain the size of a walnut, isn't it, Khaleesi? Although Khaleesi's is a very big walnut, it still happens. She seems to think if they kill them, she kills them, they won't sting her. You eat them, they disappear, eh, Khaleesi? So there is always the opportunity for freedom, and it's happening. And it's not happening like you've been taught life is happening, because everything that society has taught you isn't true. It isn't reality. What's reality is this. And humans are teaching each other through this sense of lack, through this sense of separation, through this sense of fear. They're not teaching each other through mystery and expansion. and freedom. And so everything the humans have taught you isn't true. Isn't true. It can be helpful and it can be useful and it can expand you, and when it does, use it. But a lot of it is about fear and lack. So what about these thoughts that come up and say, what is it that I've put? Again, I have to keep looking at the title of the talk. I have tried everything and nothing works. This is nonsense. It's a trap. So that type of person, it's a type of person, and maybe, I don't think I had it that bad, but I think I had a little bit of it because of my conditioning. So through your childhood, you were in lots of situations which were telling you you can't do something. So you were disempowered a lot in your childhood. Now, I'm not telling you that so you can blame other people around you, because those people that did it to you were you as presence. So don't get on your high horse and be like, bad society. We're not into blame here. Blame is suffering and pointless and a really abstract idea. It's only relevant to improve things and expand things. It's not relevant for people to sit and blame for ages. In your childhood, you were disempowered a lot. And that's pretty obvious. It's going to happen to a lot of us because it's only a small percentage of children that actually succeed at school. So when I used to work in a school, after I left university, I did like class assistant work, and I did it for 3 months and I had to quit in the end. I was working in an area in London which was predominantly Bangladesh. So this Bangladesh immigrants, or second generation Bangladesh immigrants. So their parents were brought up in Bangladesh, but they were born in the UK. And when I was in the classroom, I noticed that the teacher only engaged with the boys. So the teacher only asked the boys questions, and when he asked a question, so when he was engaging the group and said, what is 10 plus 10? And when the kids all put their hand up, he would only pick the intelligent boys. The rest of the class he didn't engage with. And at first I thought it was just coincidence, and then I began to watch more and more, and then I began to feel sad for the other kids and the girls as well. And what I began to notice, so this was their final year at that school before they went on to secondary school, is as time went on, the girls began to not really put their hand up or not even bother, and began to lose interest and be less engaged in the class, and they began to not do as well. And the boys that he was choosing to interact with were doing really well, and that was only a small percentage, maybe 5 of a class of 30. And eventually I found this so disturbing that I decided to quit the job. But as I was quitting the job, I decided to confront the head teacher, I confronted her and I told her exactly why I was leaving, and I told her what the teacher was doing. And from this conversation, I discovered that she was in on it, and she knew that was happening, and she explained to me why they did it. That she explained to me that they did it for results, because that in year 6 they have a big test at the end of the class, and she said that she did it so it would improve their test results. She said at home the girls weren't encouraged, so the girls were going to do worse than the boys because it's a Bangladeshi community. The girls weren't encouraged to educate themselves and weren't encouraged to do homework, weren't encouraged to improve their intellect. So she instructed the teachers to just focus on the kids that were likely to do really well in the scoreboards. The reason she did that was because the school and the area were very poor, and the better that these kids did in these exams, the better that these top kids did in the exams, the more money the government would give them. And through that more money, they could feed more of their kids. They could have more money to have clothes and food for the kids and resources for the kids. And that's what that school decided to do. And after she told me that, I mean, I still was like fought against it a little bit, but I understood. Like all these things are compromises. But this is the way that a lot of us are brought up. So a lot of people are going to feel this disempowerment. So if you're in education system for 13 or 14 years, like most of us are, or maybe 12 years in European countries. I think it differs per European country. I'm not sure about America and other countries and Asia and Russia and, oh gosh, I've got to go for all the continents now. All the freaking continents, Africa, Middle East. Leave no one out. We must be fair. Leave no one behind. This actually most probably makes you a good worker for society because it makes you not strive too high. You go and do a job, a mundane job, and you just get on with it. And you just receive the paycheck. And it's most probably what our society currently wants. But what it does is it makes the person not step outside the box and always feel like they can't achieve something. So they don't attempt to do something different. So they'll stay with this one job and they don't attempt to think big or to imagine or to ask for things outside their current situation. They kind of settle. And this, I think, is the way it is for a lot of people. And what it does over the years is it encourages this sense of disempowerment. Then what happens is you begin to look outside the box a bit because it really freaking hurts. And maybe on the internet you find non-duality or therapy, and you go from one to the other. You read a book, you read another book, you read another book, and you learn about all this stuff, but you notice that your situation doesn't improve. And maybe you're doing that for 10 years, reading all these things. And then you're like, but I feel the same. I still feel like crap. And then you begin to get into this mentality that nothing works for you. And it's not that all those books are wrong. It's a mentality that is hiding so deeply in your unconscious that you can't see it. And it's stopping any change. It stops you stepping outside your box. So reading the books you think is enough. But really, if you really read the books and listen, then there will be fundamental change in your life. But if you're coming from this place in disempowerment, you won't change anything. You'll just keep doing the same thing and expecting reading the books to do something, or sitting watching talks to do something. But there won't actually be change because you're convinced by this powerlessness idea. And then maybe you get into Neo-Advaita, which I love, by the way, and maybe I'm considered Neo-Advaita. I love that subject, but you hear that it's hopeless, there's nothing you can do, and then you're like, aha, see, nothing works. The whole time you're staying in the trick of this mentality, and it's not true. It's something that needs to be seen through in order for there to be change. And when you begin to really hear this subject, more than likely your life does change because your life has been based on fear and lack. And while you keep repeating a life of fear and lack and settling, then your life is, your personhood is still going to be identified with that. You're still going to be living in this tight contraction. This might be terrifying you, this talk, because you're terrified of the idea of change because you've always been told you're not enough, you're not enough. You can't do it. You can't do it. So you're just like holding on to everything you have, like, so if you sit there and you're thinking nothing works for you, but she doesn't understand, when she hears my story, she'll realize that it just doesn't work. I assure you, it is a thought you're trapped in, and I'll tell you why I'm so convinced. Can you see that thought appearing? If you can see that thought appearing, if you can feel the feeling that it's producing, that is an experience that comes and goes and isn't reality. It's an experience that's coming and going. It's not true. It's a false identification. It is true. Let me just tell her how shite my life is. Wait till she hears my story, then she'll realise that it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. No, nothing works for me. It might work for everyone else, but it doesn't work for me. Can you see the thought? If you can see the thought, it's not who you are. It's not true. It's something that comes and goes. Why do you want to hold on to it so much? It's an addiction. Well, you're limited in that addiction. Your whole life will look like that. Your whole life will be no, no, no. Your whole life will be attracting powerless, feeling stuck, feeling like you can't do. You have to see it's not true in order for your life to change and the sense of self to be dismantled. It's a huge sticking point for so many people, and it's not true. If you can see it, it's not you. You are this presence that's expansive. That's who you are. Not a contracted thought. Anything that comes and goes isn't who you are. Who you are is expansiveness. And when you begin to flow on the human level from that place, a lot of your actions and your movements will be from this flowing place, which is love. And as you stabilize in that over the years, it will become more so. There'll be more of a flow of moving to love and expansiveness rather than moving towards negativity. That's something that stabilizes more and more as you remember who you are as love, and there is an absolute not conviction, because it's not someone that's convicted in it, but there is this rootedness in that love. And then your actions are from that loving place, not that person that's holding on to that filter of I'm not enough and I'm small and it doesn't work, begins to get dismantled and loosened. And then it comes through this energy of possibility, this energy of wonder, that who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? And that, on the human level, that's predominantly the place you want to reside, is mystery and letting life act the way it acts. And then obviously you've got to know things on the human level in order to function, but that's only relevant when it comes up. You're not living through that, you're not identified with it, so it just comes and goes. What a beautiful talk that was, Lisa. Why? Thank you. Thank you. I particularly see how relevant the part is that if it is seen, it isn't me. Yes, yes. If it is seen, it isn't you. If it's seen, it's not truth. What is truth is the seeing. Wow, that really is amazing, Lisa. Why? Thank you. Thank you. I'm just playing. She's a narcissist. No, she's not. No, I've run out of conversational dialogue. I thought it was funny, the two characters speaking to each other. The two positions. Yeah, that's a complaint I get if I compliment myself too much in the talks. She's a narcissist. That's a reflection of an identified society. People love that narcissist character. Like if you put a video up on narcissist, if you put narcissist in the title, it goes viral at the moment. Everyone loves the narcissist. The idea, yes, my ex was a narcissist. Everybody's ex was a narcissist. Are you a narcissist, Khaleesi? You're a narcissist. She's hungry today because yesterday she buried her food and then I think she forgot about it, and then I think the magpies ate it overnight. And then today she's just been very beggy. Like every time I move, she's like, so she keeps looking on my spoon. She knows The spoon represents food. I have fed her today, but she's just extra hungry.